I'm Rune Christensen with Sky Frontier Foundation as a director, and you're watching Take It Slow.
2 minutes to go here into the close on this Friday, January 30th. Very much a sell the news type of event. That bit of news that are being digested by market participants today. The announcement of former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh set to replace Jerome Powell as the next chairman of the central bank. Let's kick things off with the Einstein of Wall Street, the great Peter Tuchman. What are you seeing for volume here into the close today, Peter?
You know what, we've had huge to buy all afternoon, right? 2-3 billion to buy. And I think that contributed to that sort of right before the close rally. I mean, it was a spectacular rally coming off the ground. It was an odd opening here this morning because, you know, the new Fed chairman, right, it was sort of a hawkish guy to begin with, right, in his old Fed days. And then he went to the public sector and seemed to pivot a little bit more to be a little more dovish. So it's curious that the market, I don't think, is reacting to that nomination. It's a little bit, people are still trying to digest it, but this is a little bit what you call window dressing coming at the end of the month, right? We know that as January goes, so does the year. If we can eke out a little bit of a profitable month, maybe that gives people a little bit of a psychological feeling that we'll be positive for the year. I know we'll be positive for the year anyway. That's what my crystal ball tells me, but that's how the old Wall Street adage goes.
Pretty decisive risk-off behavior for the tape. For every one stock up, almost 2.5 stocks in negative territory. We got to leave it there. Thanks for kicking us off as well. Time for the closing bell. The great Einstein of Wall Street. We got the team from Church and Dwight, the brand behind Arm & Hammer. You got to flex when you say that name. Ticker symbol THD. Right here on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Time now for the closing bell. Look at that gavel. I've been down here for thousands of these. I've never quite seen a gavel like that. Your final tail of the tape on this Friday, January 30th. A little bit of low tide here sweeping their way through the major market indexes. The S&P 500 will sell off about 0.4%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down about 0.3. The NYSE Composite Index down, let's call it 0.7. And the small caps, no big surprise, the hardest hit for a bit of profit taking on this Fed announcement Friday, I should say. The Russell down 1.5%. Let's bring in the great Phil Rosen for what I am now officially dubbing Phil Rosen Friday. It's a holiday I just made up, and why not? Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, JD.
Phil's the co-founder of Opening Bell Daily, host of Full Signal. What are you seeing in these markets, man? What a day today.
Everything today was about Kevin Warsh, right?
Yeah.
He came in, and markets are treating it like the end of the debasement trade. At least in the one-day trading session, that's what I took from it. Gold was down, silver was down, the dollar was up, which is pretty much a reversal of what we've seen for the last year. All the metals have been rallying for 12 months. Gold has, I think, one of its worst years in decades, and in a single day, that all somehow reversed because of one Fed nominee, which is very unusual. I wasn't expecting that big of a reaction, frankly.
Yeah.
But he comes in, he's pretty much a hard money guy, so people think that he's going to strengthen the dollar or at least prevent it from falling, right? And that kind of takes out the need for insurance bets like gold and silver. So that explains the tail of the tape today.
Yeah, we don't really have that rush to the safe havens we had at one point today. We had silver down as much as 35%. It tumbled all the way back down to $74 an ounce. It didn't quite finish the day at those levels. It kind of bounced up a little bit from there. What do you follow at the intersection of Kevin Warsh and cryptocurrency? What's on your radar there?
You know, I've seen this guy talk favorably about crypto in the past. I've seen him talk about Bitcoin. I don't know if he's going to come out and say anything new about it. I think he's going to be much more careful about what he says moving forward. But look, this guy, I think when people question whether he's qualified for this, I think they're mostly questioning Trump's judgment. I think whoever Trump nominated, people would say, this guy's not fit, he's not the right guy, we have something to say about it. But this guy has degrees from pretty much every Ivy League school you can think of. He was in the White House, he was the youngest Fed governor ever, so this guy has plenty of chops, right? I'm not worried about that. I think the biggest concern is really, will he be a puppet? I don't think so. He's probably going to lower rates, but his take on the whole interest rates thing, similar to what Trump has said, it's not because the traditional ways of monetary policy. He's not going to say we need to lower rates because the economy is doing X, Y, Z. It's going to be because AI is driving such a productivity boom that we can actually operate at a higher speed limit as an economy. So we can work with lower rates. And I think that's very interesting. It's going to be a big bet, We've never really seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
But I'm optimistic.
The chairman of the central bank is an incredibly important position, but let's not forget, this is still decision by committee. You got 12 members of the FOMC. One person individually does not make monetary policy for a data-dependent Fed. What else will you be looking forward to? It's not just the Fed governors. You got the rotating names like Neil Kashkari. They now have a say at the table. It's not going to be just Kevin Warsh.
Yeah, JD, that's a great point. I think people think whoever's the Fed chair determines monetary policy, but he's got to convince everybody to vote with him. And something Jerome Powell was very good at was getting everyone on the same page. So most often with Powell, everyone would vote the same way. Recently, we've seen some dissents, but you could say that's a political gambit in the last year. But generally, Powell was very effective at getting everyone to vote the same direction. I think Warsh is going to have his work cut out for him just because he's a Trump appointee, and people will know, hey, what are the politics going on here? Should we just, take the other side? Who knows? I think the reasons to be optimistic are more convincing at this point for me, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, we ran out of time. Did not get to ask you more about big tech earnings, but we do have Alphabet and Amazon crossing the tape after a couple closes next week that, of course, we'll track very closely after Apple and some of the other names kicked off their earnings reports earlier this week. The great Phil Rosen for Phil Rosen Friday down here at the big board. Thanks for being here as always, brother.
Thank you, JD.
Great to have you. Jeremy will grab your mic. Bobby, my man, you and I are going to head this way. We will now bring you the latest Polymarket event contract odds from our friends over at Polymarket as participants are trying to figure out, you're going to love this one, who's going to be the Super Bowl winner. 70% odds on favorite. It is the Seattle Seahawks. About 30% odds it will be the Drake May-led New England Patriots. Right now, only about $5 million in total trade volume. Which way? About on this particular contract, but we can certainly safely expect to see those numbers rise. Seattle running back Kenneth Walker III, the odds-on favorite to score a touchdown in the big game. Super Bowl 60 will be held next Sunday, February 8th in Santa Clara, California. All right, we'll take a quick look before we toss to our next package at 2 NYSE notables for the day. We'll start with Verizon. Look at that, up 11.8%, reporting 109 earnings a share and a beat on both top and bottom lines. Wireless subscriber growth hitting a 6-year high for the team at Verizon. Also forecasting profit and free cash flow above expectations. VZ stock up about 6% so far here year to date. And finally, we'll pivot this way. We'll take a look at an oil and energy giant. How about Chevron having a strong day? Energy trade remains red hot, reporting 152 earnings a share. Also a beat on top and bottom. Chevron CEO Mike Wirth reporting record production and strong free cash flow for last year. Also raising its quarterly dividend. Shares of CVX up about 14% here so far in 2026. All right, Cheddar's very own Chris Castellino is now back with the latest in home tech from CES 2026 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Take a look.
Imagine a home where robots handle all of your laundry, clean your windows, and can even wash and dry your carpets while you're away. At CES 2026, the smart home innovations we've been waiting for are available this year, and it all starts right at your front door. Here to welcome you home is Doma. The company is reimagining the most fundamental entry point to any living space, the door. Their latest smart door combines a built-in smart lock, video doorbell, and even facial recognition into one seamless experience.
As you walk into the door, it recognizes you, it unlocks, and it opens for you. You just walk through the door, put your groceries down in the kitchen, the door closes behind you, locks. You don't have to even think about it.
The applications are numerous, giving you control over who has access to your home, including family members, friends, and even your dog walker. And if they leave the door ajar, Doma automatically closes and locks behind them.
Smart locks are great because they can lock the door automatically, but sometimes doors are misaligned and smart locks batteries are dead. Well, Doma intelligent doors have no batteries, they're powered by electricity, and they're always locked because we have a motor in the door that actually can close and lock the door every time it's open. This is a whole nother level of security.
The company is also bringing their AI-powered home solutions to Windows as well.
The cool thing about motorized windows is they can close, of course, when it rains, or they can close to lock, but also when the air quality is better outside than inside, the doors can open and let fresh air in. And of course, we use AI to understand intention and where people are in the house and how to make the house most healthy and secure as possible for everybody in the home.
And all types of doors, including sliding and French doors, will be Doma enabled throughout 2026. After making your way through the intelligent door, managing the day-to-day chaos of your family requires its own innovations. Introducing Cozilla, a company that's replacing sticky notes, scattered to-do lists, and missed appointments with a stunning 55-inch interactive family hub. The company's latest Calendar Plus Max features a 4K rotatable and rollable display that can transform any corner of your home into a family planning station. Mom, dad, kids, and even the dog get their own color-coded calendar.
So the Max is designed for side-by-side collaboration. Previously, all the personal device getting people isolated and looked down. We want to design Calendar Max to regroup family together and look forward, and side by side can plan our vacation.
Intelligent meal planning system easily addresses the dreaded question, what's for dinner?
We call it dynamic grocery list. It's generated by your meal instead of like a random grocery list. So you can synchronize your shopping list into your mobile phone, take a family to Costco. Now you have a purpose-driven checklist for all the ingredient and material for cooking.
And as with everything at CES this year, Cozy Law also features a voice-activated AI agent.
The family dinner is barbecue. So now say family barbecue. So it's a lot of easy instead of like a typing, touching, now you're talking.
The ability for our homes to learn our habits, anticipate our needs, and handle the tedious tasks that consume our precious time is no longer just a concept. The future isn't just on display, it's moving in. For Cheddar, I'm Chris Castellino.
Let's do it. Welcome back to the show on this Friday, January 30th. Time now for a few fintech, crypto, and artificial intelligence headlines to head you into your two-day weekend. First up, the crypto majors are in negative territory at this moment. Bitcoin selling off 0.8%. ETH, the hardest hit among the majors, down 4.5%, and Solana down 0.4%. Next up, with legislation stalled, SEC Chair Paul Atkins and CFTC Chair Michael Selig both say they are ready to move ahead using existing authority to clarify crypto oversight, would give the industry clearer rules of the road. And finally, Circle planning to move its ARC institutional blockchain from testnet directly to production at some point here in 2026 as the company expands USDC across more chains. The company says ARC is built for compliance and scale. Join us now here on Taking Stock Remotely is Seth Ginn. Seth is managing partner and head of liquid investments at CoinFund. Seth, it is terrific to have you join us on this Friday afternoon edition of the show. Let's start with CoinFund's Liquid Fund. Talk to us all about it, the top priorities, and really why was it important to launch this fund?
Yeah, so we're actually in the midst of spinning out our liquid fund. We think 26 is a year where we're going to see a massive convergence between traditional finance and crypto. You know, I think that Circle headline, the SEC and CFTC headline, very much pointing in that direction, and we want to be heads down, ready to grow, resource rich, and ready to compete against the traditional hedge funds that are coming into the space. So that was a big announcement for us earlier this month, and very excited about it.
Growth and resource rich. Let me ask you about diversification rather inside a liquid crypto fund. Excuse me. What does that actually look like in practice, Seth?
So within a liquid crypto fund, we're investing in names that have real fundamental growth, so top line growth that is driven by trading activity. So Hyperliquid, for instance, seeing a lot of commodities trading activity right now, growing revenue significantly from this new business line that only started to kick up in activity over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, and becoming a significant share of their overall revenue. So you can take that revenue, which mostly goes into a buyback of token. You can put a multiple on that. We think about a 30x multiple on that revenue is reasonable. That gets us to over $50 for the token, trading around 50 cents for the token, trading around 30 cents today.
Seth, can I get your take? What do you make on performance we've had as of late for things like gold as well as Bitcoin? What's your general thought for people that track it day to day or people who don't track it day to day?
So Bitcoin, as of 10:10, which was a big flash crash moment for the crypto space, had a big decline in a number of crypto assets in a short amount of time right after the market closed on Friday, October 10th. Bitcoin started to diverge from gold, diverge from the NASDAQ, and you've seen that kind of expand out into growing underperformance. What was really interesting today, so if you think about yesterday, you had gold hitting over 90 on its RSI, on its relative strength index, so really overextended from a technical perspective. You get Kevin Warsh announced as the new Fed chair. Gold has a big correction, and what was really interesting was Bitcoin versus gold steadily gaining all day. So it looked like you had this technical overextension yesterday in gold. Today you get a big headline that causes precious metals to correct, and you actually start to see Bitcoin outperformance, material outperformance, almost 10% on the day versus gold, starting to potentially augur a rotation.
Sure, anytime we see that RSI for any asset north of 70 usually tells us it is in fact an overbought territory. Those technical indicators always welcome here on Taking Stock. Seth Gins, managing partner and head of liquid investments at CoinFund. Seth, it has been terrific to have you here on this Friday edition of the broadcast. Come back anytime. To the rest of you watching at home, don't go anywhere. We got much more Taking Stock coming up live from the NYSE right after this. Welcome back to the show. Yesterday, Money 2020's very own Tina Lunkark sat down with Anna Liu, the CEO of Hashkey Tokenization. Take a look.
Joining us today, we have Anna Liu. Anna is the CEO of Hashkey Tokenization, and Anna is actually joining us all the way from Hong Kong today. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Tina.
Oh, we're so thrilled to have you. So Anna, you are a keynote speaker at Money 2020 Asia in Bangkok this April, happening on the 21st to the 23rd of April. So what key themes and insights from your session can you share with us already now?
Sure. My core message is simple. We have spent the last decades digitizing money. Now we are starting the decade of digitizing asset. So if we look back at 2025, it was the year the rails were truly finalized. In the US, we saw the Genius Act, the Circle's public offering. Here in Hong Kong, the stablecoin audience came into effect. The question of how to settle on-chain has been answered. So now for 2026, the theme is from money to asset. We are seeing a shift in the boardroom conversation. It is no longer, can we tokenize this? It is now what generates real ROI and liquidity for our balance sheet.
Very, very exciting, Anna. So for those new to the space, can you briefly explain what HashKey tokenization works with and how it fits into the wider digital asset ecosystem?
Thanks for asking this question, Tina. To understand HashKey tokenization, you have to look at the HashKey Group ecosystem. We are a leading Asian-based digital asset group with a deep institutional footprint. Founded in Hong Kong in 2018, we now operate across Japan, Singapore, Dubai, and Bermuda. A huge milestone for us was listing on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange last December. And our business rests on four key pillars. First is asset trading. HashKey Exchange is the largest licensed platform in Hong Kong, capturing roughly 75% of the market share here. Second is asset management, HashKey Capital. We manage over $1 billion and have invested in over 600 companies. We were early backers of giants like Ethereum, Polkadot, and Avalanche. Third is infrastructure, HashKey on-chain. This is our Web3 infrastructure arm. It not only provides top-tier staking, but powers HashKey Chain, our compliant layer 2 blockchain ecosystem. And finally, the fourth is us, HashKey tokenization. We work with global institutions to transform traditional assets like private credits, investment funds, or commodities into compliant digital tokens. We handle structuring, technology, while working closely with our exchange and other partners in the ecosystem for distribution. So while the market is full of stablecoins hunting for yield, it lacks high quality products. We fix this. We help institutions transform assets like private credits into investment grade tokens. This completes the ecosystem loop. You have the money on chain, you have the trading venue like HashKey Exchange, and you have the infrastructure like HashKey Chain. Now, through HashKey tokenization, you have the product. We are essentially building the inventory for the next generation of capital market.
Thank you, Anna. Comprehensive, really interesting answers. We cannot wait to see you at Money 2020 Asia in Bangkok in a couple of months. Anna Liu, CEO of HashKey Tokenization, thank you so much for participating with us today.
Thank you, Tina. Looking forward to the event.
A distinctive sound can elicit strong memories that last for hours or even a lifetime. Those following finance with their ear to the ground will readily recognize the sound of a tolling bell and a gavel strike as representing the close of global capital markets, a soundscape unique to the New York Stock Exchange. The New York Stock Exchange has been striking a gavel at the close of trading since 1817, first to signify the end of trading one single security, and today signifying the end of the entire trading day. Countless gavels have struck this exact same sounding block since 1890, which is before women had the vote, before the first manned flight, and even before sliced bread. This sounding block has witnessed countless stories, and here are just a few. The sounding block began its career during the Second Industrial Revolution. Steam power fueled progress. Railroads and canals connected the country, and Edison's light bulb filled America with a warm electric glow. Originally, from its perch upon the bell podium, the sounding block oversaw a seething mass of humanity in swallowtail coats and stovepipe hats, belting out the cacophonous din of open outcry trading. As the steam age raced ahead, heavy industries like railroads raced to list their securities, brokers raced to meet demand, and the New York Stock Exchange's first permanent home raced towards obsolescence. To make way for both broker and technology, the New York Stock Exchange's first permanent home was demolished in 1901 in order to make room for its current home. As brokers shed their Victorian garb in favor of double-breasted sports coats and bowler hats, the New York Stock Exchange christened its new home on April 22nd of 1903. The sounding block was placed upon the freshly hewn marble of the bell podium, where it has remained ever since. A decade later, World War I sent global financial markets spiraling into a panic. All foreign markets had closed as of July 30th of 1914, and the New York Stock Exchange quickly followed suit, closing the next day and beginning our longest ever closure. When America entered World War II 23 years later, the sounding block witnessed an even greater seismic shift. With nearly 1,000 members of the trading floor community off fighting for democracy, trading floor jobs were filled by women for the first time, starting in 1943. Those soldiers lucky enough to return came back to an America well equipped for growth, as increasing consumer demand, surging product development, and ample disposable income generated an economic boom and a bull market that lasted for 8 years. 2 decades later, the sounding block had a box seat view to the upheaval of the 1960s. As men shed their wool suits in favor of synthetic fabrics, the New York Stock Exchange shed its status as an all-boys club. Active in the securities industry since 1954, Muriel Siebert was attracted by the egalitarian nature of the trading floor, where a broker's compensation was determined by ability and not by gender. On December 28th of 1967, Siebert was admitted as the first woman to own a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. 3 years later, another barrier fell when Joseph Searles II became the exchange's first black member. Even before joining the New York Stock Exchange on February 12th of 1970, Searles had enjoyed an impressive career, playing professional football for the New York Giants, as well as acting as an aide to New York City Mayor John Lindsay. At the dawn of the information age, stock trading had remained mostly unchanged since the sounding block began its career in the 1890s. Each auction was held verbally, and to an outside observer, the floor appeared completely unaltered between 1929 and 1979. But in 1979, the view changed dramatically, with the installation of over 15,000 pounds of computer equipment, all supported by a massive superstructure at the top of the trading floor. The personnel working beneath continued to change their look with the times, swapping out their patterned polyester suits as the CRTs around them changed to flat screens. Today, the New York Stock Exchange runs the last stock trading floor, utilizing a hybrid trading model unique among its peers, utilizing electronic trading technology in tandem with the human element. And with an active trading floor, the sounding block remains in use and is struck at the end of every trading day. Without a pen, a sheet of paper would remain blank. Without nails, a house would fall to the ground. And without a sounding block, the strike of a gavel would be inaudible. This humble object has been struck at every closing ceremony for over 100 years, loyally serving one single purpose: to shepherd the global capital markets, the New York Stock Exchange.
Next week on Wall Street, we get earnings from Alphabet, Amazon, and the January jobs report. That's it for today's edition of Taking Stock. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you again Monday from the New York Stock Exchange.